Meet my new husband. Handsome, rich, and romantic. That's what she said. Right to my face. In a damn hospital hallway. Her voice full of sugar and venom. Like this was some victory parade, and I was the loser standing on the sidelines. I hadn't seen Vanessa in 17 years. Not since I caught her tangled up with her personal trainer in our bedroom, moaning like she was auditioning for a movie she swore she never watched. I cut her off like dead weight. Changed my number. Burned the photos. Even moved states. That chapter was over. Closed. Buried. Or so I thought. She only reached out last week. One cold, flat message. Your dad's dying. You should come. No apology. No context. No hint of guilt. Just that. I showed up out of respect. Not for her. Not even for myself. For the old man in room 207. But then this. She walks in like she owns the hospital, clinging to some Armani-suited Ken doll with slick hair and the kind of smile that comes from never hearing the word no. She didn't say a word about my father. Not even a how's he doing. Instead, she dropped that bomb. Meet my new husband. Handsome. Rich. Romantic. I should have walked away. But I didn't. Because I saw something. His face. Craig. That's his name. Looked at me, eyes narrowing like he was trying to remember where he'd seen me before. And then, wait, he muttered. You're Lucas West. I nodded, calm as ice. He looked at Vanessa. Vanessa, that's Lucas? Lucas West. The one who. Her grin cracked. For the first time in her miserable life, she looked scared. Babe, she tried to say. But he turned back to me. And then, with a voice full of stunned realization. He's our CEO. Boom. Silence. I watched the blood drain from her face. Like someone had just unplugged her soul. The guy she brought here to show off? To flaunt in front of her poor ex? He works for me. She married my employee. And didn't even know I owned the whole damn company. I didn't say a word. Just nodded, turned around, and walked away. I heard Craig whisper behind me. You told me he was some broke loser. Oh, sweetheart. The only thing I'm broke on is patience. And believe me, we're just getting started. I remember the first crack. It wasn't something loud or obvious. It was a whisper. A shift in the way Vanessa looked at her phone during dinner. The screen always tilted just slightly away from me. Notifications with no names. Just winking face and see you soon. At first, I told myself I was being paranoid. We'd been married for 5 years by then. She was beautiful. Yeah, the kind of beautiful that made other men forget they had wives. But I thought we were solid. I thought I was enough. Then came the gym membership. She never worked out a day in her life before that. Suddenly, she was obsessed. Lululemon, everything. Hour and a half, cardio sessions 5 days a week. She'd come back flushed, glowing, with that stupid smirk on her face like the world had just handed her a secret. One night, I couldn't sleep. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She was in the shower. I looked. I know, privacy and all that. But something in my gut twisted so hard, I had to. The message said, you still taste like strawberries. I'm thinking about that mirror again. No name. Just a heart emoji. I stared at that screen until the shower stopped running. She came out wrapped in a towel, hair wet, humming like nothing was wrong. I didn't say anything. I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But I froze. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't always hit like a bullet. Sometimes it slides in slow, like poison in your coffee. From then on, I started watching her. I noticed the lipstick stains on the inside of her gym bag. The extra underwear. The way she'd take a full face of makeup to the gym and come back looking more done up than when she left. One day, I followed her. Told her I had an early meeting, kissed her goodbye, and parked 2 blocks from the gym entrance. She never walked in. Instead, I watched her get into some guy's black SUV. Watched his hand brush the inside of her thigh before they even drove off. I sat there for an hour. Cold. Numb. Like someone had scraped out everything inside me and replaced it with static. She came home that night smelling like expensive soap and lies. Good workout? I asked. She nodded and kissed me on the cheek. Killer. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling wondering how long I'd been the joke. You know the worst part? I didn't confront her right away. I kept pretending. Kept acting like everything was fine, all while piecing together the puzzle of her filth behind the scenes. I hired someone. A private investigator. A friend of a friend who didn't ask too many questions. 3 weeks later, I had photos. Dozens. Hotel rooms. Parking garages. One of her wearing my hoodie while straddling him in the front seat. And the guy? It wasn't just her trainer. It was my junior partner at work. Nate, 27, barely out of college. The same guy I mentored, helped get promoted, took under my wing like a damn son. She called him Daddy in a text. Daddy. The rage. I can't even describe it. It wasn't loud. It was surgical, cold, focused. I made copies, sent them to her parents, her sister, our mutual friends. I waited till a Saturday night, when I knew she'd be glowing from her latest gym session. She walked in humming again. The envelope was on the table. She saw it, looked at me, then opened it. I watched her face morph. Curiosity, confusion, fear, panic. Then came the tears. Oh my God, Lucas. I can explain. I laughed. It wasn't real laughter. More like the sound you make when something inside you finally snaps. You can explain strawberries and mirrors? I said. She froze. Game over. But I wasn't done. Because pain makes you creative. And she hadn't felt a fraction of what was coming. She tried the tears first. Always the damn tears. Mascara streaks down her face. Fake sobs echoing through our kitchen like she was auditioning for some tragic drama. I made a mistake, she whimpered, clutching the envelope to her chest like it could save her. It didn't mean anything. I stayed quiet. Just stared. Because here's the truth. When someone you love betrays you like that, their words stop carrying weight. Every syllable feels like it's been dipped in acid. All I could hear in my head was that message. You still taste like strawberries. Over and over. She stepped toward me, reaching. Lucas, please. It was a phase. I was feeling lost. Unseen. You were always working. Always busy. I just wanted to feel alive again. I stepped back. That pissed her off more than anything. Her face snapped from broken to bitter in seconds. Oh, so you're just gonna stand there and judge me? Like you were some perfect husband, she hissed. You worked late 5 nights a week. You barely looked at me anymore. What did you expect? That's when I realized she wasn't sorry. She was cornered. And all she had left was venom. Don't spin this on me, I said, voice flat. You opened your legs for a kid I trained and mentored. You lied. For months. And you're still lying. She scoffed. You always think you're better than everyone else. You think just because you throw money around, you own people. Clearly I didn't own you, I said, staring straight into her soul. But he will. One day, he'll own every broken piece you're leaving behind. And he'll get bored, just like you did. That silence afterward was thick, suffocating. She stormed into the bedroom. I heard drawers slam, hangers clattering. She came out with a suitcase half-zipped and rage in her eyes. I'm leaving tonight, she barked. Don't even try to stop me. I didn't. I just watched her walk to the door. Don't forget your hoodie, I said. She froze, just for a second, then yanked it off and threw it at the floor. You'll regret this, she spat. I didn't respond. I just closed the door behind her. Then I sat in the silence. No yelling. No TV. No perfume lingering in the air. Just stillness. You'd think I felt peace. But that's not what came. What came was a storm. Not outside, inside. A collapse. My chest felt hollow. My stomach turned to stone. I walked into our bedroom, my bedroom now, and just stood there, staring at the bed. The one she used. The one she defiled. I ripped the sheets off like they were soaked in poison. I grabbed every photo of us, every framed smile, and dumped them into a trash bag. I went to the closet. Her shoes. Her perfumes. Her makeup still sitting on the counter like she'd be back in an hour. I packed it all, tossed it into the hallway. She didn't deserve even the air in this house. But even as I cleaned, even as I burned every trace of her from my life, that ache in my chest didn't ease. Because here's the part no one tells you. Knowing the truth doesn't make it hurt less. It makes it worse. It makes you realize how long you were blind. How many nights you kissed a stranger. How many times she smiled while stabbing you in the back. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat on the floor, lights off, whiskey in hand, and stared at nothing. At 3:04 a.m., my phone buzzed. It was a message from Nate. One word. Sorry. I almost threw the phone across the room. Coward. They always say sorry when there's nothing left to take. The following morning, sunlight crept in like nothing had happened. Like the world wasn't shattered. Like my life wasn't now split in two. Before and after Vanessa. But something inside me had shifted. I wasn't just broken. I was wide awake. I didn't go to work. I called my assistant, told her to cancel everything for the week. My voice was calm, measured, professional. But inside, I was still bleeding. Quietly. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up the security camera archives. Yeah, what Vanessa didn't know was that after I caught her late-night gym lies, I installed discreet security cameras outside the house. Not inside. I didn't want to live in a prison, but enough to see who came and went. I scrubbed through the footage for the last 6 weeks. It was worse than I imagined. Nate wasn't just sneaking in when I was gone. Sometimes he came in when I was asleep upstairs. One video showed her welcoming him in with nothing but a robe on. Another showed them laughing like teenagers, her straddling him on the living room couch. My couch, the one my mother gave us as a wedding gift. She didn't just cheat. She defiled everything. And suddenly, I couldn't just sit there and lick my wounds anymore. She needed to feel it. Not with violence. No, that's too quick. Too easy. She needed to lose something real. I started with Nate. I called HR, pulled every record, every email, every late-night calendar meeting between him and Vanessa that she somehow marked as marketing strategy sessions. He'd violated half a dozen clauses in our employee code of conduct. By 10 a.m., he was suspended pending termination. His company card frozen. Car towed from the lot. I sent the footage to the board, blind copied to legal. And then, I called my lawyer. Let's proceed, I said. With what, he asked. All of it. The divorce papers were drawn up that day. Ironclad. Ruthless. She wasn't getting the house. Not the car. Not a single share of stock. Normally, she might have fought it, but the evidence? It wasn't just damning. It was nuclear. By the time the papers hit her inbox, I'd already locked her out of every shared account, changed every password, froze the joint credit cards. I watched the balance drop in real time from a boutique in Soho. She tried to buy something that morning. Declined. That was satisfying. But the phone call? That was the best part. Lucas, what the hell? She screamed through the phone. You froze everything? I could hear traffic behind her. She was probably standing outside some designer store, throwing a fit. You're lucky I didn't charge you for cleaning the stench you left behind, I said coldly. You think you can just erase me like this? After everything. I didn't yell. I didn't flinch. I already have. Then I hung up, and it was quiet again. But this time, the silence didn't hurt. It felt like a reset button had been pressed deep in my soul. Until, of course, her mother called. Lucas, honey, be reasonable. She's young. She made a mistake. You can work through this. She made a choice, I said. Over and over. In my home. With my employee. Don't you dare call it a mistake. Click. Another number blocked. This wasn't about patching things up. This was about closure. Real, raw, permanent. And the best part? I wasn't done yet. Because she still didn't know about the new woman. The one I met 6 months ago at a tech event in Chicago. The one who actually listened. Who smiled without secrets. Who wasn't sleeping with my interns. That part. That's coming next. A week passed. No messages from her. No calls. No drama. At least, not until her sister showed up at my office. I was walking out of a board meeting when I saw her. Melanie, standing near the elevators with a look I'd seen before. Guilt. But this time, it wasn't hers. Lucas, she started. I didn't know where else to go. I didn't say anything. Just waited. She's spiraling. Vanessa, she clarified, like I needed the reminder. She's not eating. She's staying at some cheap motel. Keeps saying you destroyed her. She destroyed herself, I said. Melanie nodded. I know. Believe me, I told her. But there's something else you should know. She didn't just cheat with Nate. There were others. I blinked. Slowly. How many? I asked. Melanie hesitated. At least 3. That I know of. One of them was your accountant. Another might have been someone from your gym. She bragged about him once. Called him stupid strong and stupid dumb. Something inside me went still. The betrayal had layers. And I had only seen the top. That night, I opened my old hard drive. The one with our honeymoon photos, birthday parties, anniversaries. Every smile in those pictures now felt like a goddamn joke. I watched one video of her blowing out candles on her 30th birthday, kissing me afterward like I was the only man on earth. She had someone else that same night. I checked the dates, matched the evidence. I wasn't just second. I was the fool who didn't know there was a whole damn rotation. But here's the thing, pain evolves. What stabs you on day 1, hardens by day 7. And now, I wasn't hurting. I was done. So I made a decision. I called Craig. Yeah, Craig. The Armani suit. The trophy husband she flaunted at the hospital. The guy who turned pale when he realized who I was. He picked up fast. Lucas, he asked, unsure. I think it's time we talked, I said. Man to man. There was silence. Then, yeah, I think you're right. We met at a small rooftop bar downtown. Neutral ground. He was already 2 whiskeys in when I arrived. She told me you were broke, he said right away. That you were manipulative. Controlling. Some angry loser who couldn't keep up with her. Sounds like her usual script. He nodded. I believed her. At first. But after what happened at the hospital, I started connecting the dots. She's been lying to me too. What did she say when you got home? I asked. Craig looked ashamed. She said you were jealous. That you made it all up to feel powerful. But then I checked the company's leadership page. Your face is everywhere. I felt like an idiot. He downed his drink. I think she married me to make you jealous, he continued. Used me as a pawn. And the worst part? I bought it. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. She's toxic, I said. And she's going to burn through you like she did me. He looked at me, eyes raw. I already filed the annulment. That surprised me. She begged, he added. Then threatened. Then cried. I packed her things and dropped her at her sister's. I nodded slowly. Don't ever let her back in, I told him. She'll twist you into something unrecognizable. He just nodded quietly. When I got back home, there was a single white envelope stuck in the door. Inside, no apology, just a handwritten note. I made a mistake, but I never stopped loving you. Underneath it, a photo of us. One I hadn't seen in years. From the day I proposed. I stared at it for a long time, then tore it in half, threw it in the fire. She had burned everything, and now she wanted to return to the ashes. But I had already started rebuilding, piece by goddamn piece. 2 weeks later, my dad passed away. He died quietly, just after midnight, holding onto my hand like he didn't want to go. There were no final speeches, no dramatic last words. Just a sigh, one slow breath, and then stillness. I sat there for a while, just watching him. The man who raised me, who taught me how to grip a hammer, who drank too much, talked too little, and loved with rough hands. We weren't always close, especially after what happened with Vanessa, but blood has a funny way of settling old debts. I forgave him before he even asked. The funeral was quiet. Mostly family, a few friends. I didn't expect her to show up, but she did. Vanessa arrived in all black like she belonged. Sunglasses too big for her face, standing at the back near the trees, as if mourning from a distance made her presence more acceptable, as if the shade could hide her history. I didn't speak to her, didn't even look her way, but she made sure I saw her leave. Brushed past just close enough to whisper, I meant every word in that letter. I didn't respond. She didn't deserve my words. But I could feel Craig's eyes from across the cemetery. Yeah, he came too. Stood far from her, hands in his pockets, jaw set like a man who'd seen the wreckage and barely crawled out alive. We exchanged a nod. That was it. After the service, I went home. Alone. The house felt different now. Lighter somehow. No perfume on the pillows. No hairspray fog in the bathroom. Just the scent of wood polish and clean sheets. I poured myself a drink and stood by the window, staring at the driveway, thinking. Then I picked up my phone and dialed. She answered on the second ring. Her voice cracked slightly when she said my name. Don't ever come near me again, I said. Calm. Cold. But you stood at my father's funeral like you belonged. After everything you did, you made a mockery of our life, Vanessa, of our vows, of our memories. Her breathing changed. Quicker, like she was gearing up for another round of tears. I never meant to hurt you. You didn't hurt me, I said. You killed me, and then expected me to be proud you moved on. Silence. I kept going. You don't get closure. You don't get friendship. You don't get to cry on my doorstep or show up uninvited. You don't get me. Not now, not ever again. Lucas, I ended the call. Blocked her. That was the last time I ever heard her voice. You know what they never tell you about betrayal? It's not just the cheating. It's the slow erosion of trust. The tiny cuts that bleed you dry. The smile you stop believing in. The nights you spend wondering if her laughter was ever really for you. Or for someone else just waiting outside. But here's the part that matters. You survive. Not all at once. Not with a dramatic scream or grand gesture. You survive in moments. Like the first night you sleep without nightmares. Or the day you forget her birthday. Or the afternoon you find yourself laughing with someone else, and it doesn't feel like betrayal. It feels like breathing. I had that moment recently. The woman from Chicago, her name's Elise. She sends texts that don't hide behind locks. She looks me in the eyes when she talks. She makes coffee at my place and hums while watering my plants. And she never once made me feel like I had to compete with a ghost. It's not love yet, but it's something honest, something clean. And after everything Vanessa dragged me through, honest and clean feels like a miracle. A month later, I got an email I wasn't expecting. It wasn't from Vanessa, not Craig, not even her sister. It was from my company's internal affairs team. Subject line, confidential, inquiry regarding former employee Vanessa Turner. I opened it fast, gut tight. The message was short, formal, direct. Someone had reported Vanessa for breaching multiple confidentiality agreements during her time consulting for one of our third-party vendors. Apparently, she'd shared sensitive information, old financial data, projections, even some private client records, with an outside source. All of it traced back to a personal email. Her personal email. I read it 3 times. This wasn't just another betrayal. This was criminal. She hadn't just humiliated me in private. She was now attempting to profit off the remnants of my empire. I picked up the phone and called our legal department. By the end of the week, she had a letter from my lawyers and a cease and desist order from our compliance team. The message was clear. Any further actions would lead to civil and criminal proceedings. She replied, of course. Vanessa never could resist trying to spin a narrative. Her response was laughable. Lucas, this is insane. I never intended to hurt your business. I was trying to help someone I knew get a head start. I didn't think the files mattered anymore. We built that company together, remember? I didn't reply, because that last sentence. We built that company together. She didn't lift a single damn brick. She was too busy playing dress up in the mirror and sliding into other people's arms. But what really got me was this. She didn't regret what she did. She regretted getting caught. That's the difference between guilt and consequences. I archived the email and moved on. Until one afternoon, Elise, the woman I'd been seeing, showed up at my office with something in her hands. A package. No label. Just my name, written in thick black marker. Some guy left it at the front desk, she said. Didn't give a name. I took it cautiously. Opened it. Inside, a USB drive. A folded note. Watch it before she does. No signature. I plugged the drive into my laptop while Elise waited. It was a video. Security footage. From my house. From 3 years ago. The angle was wide. Entryway. Living room. Vanessa and Nate. Kissing. Stripping each other in a rush. Laughing. Whispering. Then came the words that turned my blood cold. He doesn't even know you're bleeding him dry, Nate said. Why would he? Vanessa giggled. Lucas is always so busy playing boss. He wouldn't notice if I sold the whole house out from under him. And then she said it. I'm gonna bury him. One day he'll work for me. I stared at the screen, teeth clenched so hard my jaw throbbed. Elise didn't say anything, just placed a hand on my shoulder. I didn't know it went that deep, she said quietly. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. 3 years ago. She had this plan that long ago. Everything, the cheating, the lies, the theft, it wasn't spontaneous. It was designed. That night, I sent a message to our cyber forensic team. I wanted to know who leaked the video, how it was recorded, and what else they had. If there were more files, I needed every second. Because the past wasn't done revealing itself yet. And I had a feeling the final act hadn't even started. The report came back 2 days later. The footage had been pulled from a hidden backup system I installed years ago, one I'd forgotten about. A technician I hired during a renovation had created a separate encrypted archive, just in case, he said back then. I never thought I'd need it. Turns out, someone did. And they used it to remind me just how far Vanessa had planned to sink her claws. There were more videos. Not just Nate. 2 other men. One was our accountant. The other, a married neighbor who used to borrow my tools and talk about football over beers like he wasn't sneaking into my home during lunch breaks. Every clip, every whisper, every betrayal, archived in crisp HD, like my misery had its own documentary. I watched them all, not because I wanted to, because I needed to. I needed to see it with clear eyes, to burn every illusion left in my mind. When it was done, I shut the laptop, closed the chapter. For real this time. No more what-ifs. No more wondering if I was overreacting, if maybe I could have saved it. The truth was right there, frame by frame. She never loved me. She loved what I gave her. The status, the money, the illusion. Once she figured out how to play the part of the perfect wife, she used it as a stage. Every kiss was an act, every promise a script, and every laugh, a rehearsal for someone else's bed. So I buried her memory. Not with rage. With silence. I sold the house. Got rid of every trace. Every photo. Every gift. Every chair she picked out. I moved into a new place. Smaller. Smarter. Mine. Elise helped me paint the walls. We picked out new furniture together. Nothing extravagant. Just clean. Real. Uncomplicated. She never asked about Vanessa after that night. And I never brought her up again. Until last week. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then a voicemail. I played it later, on speaker, while Elise cooked dinner. It was Vanessa. Her voice was low. Broken. Lucas. I lost everything. Craig's gone. My accounts are frozen. There's an investigation. I'm staying at a shelter downtown. I didn't know who else to call. I know I don't deserve anything from you, but please. I deleted it halfway through. Turned off my phone. Walked into the kitchen. Elise was laughing at something on TV, barefoot, stirring a pot of pasta like it was the most important thing in the world. And in that moment, I realized something. She lost me 17 years ago. Not now. Not recently. The day she chose someone else's arms over mine. She gave up every right to be saved. I wrapped my arms around Elise from behind and kissed the side of her neck. She smiled, leaned into me. What was the call? She asked. No one important, I said. And for the first time in years, I meant it.